Full moon in Gemini, we got to talk about it. So one of the key phrases that kept kind of coming to me this whole week, honestly, leading up until today, which is when the full moon in Gemini is happening, is distractions in the form of bad advice. A lot of people are going to be telling you what they think they know about your situation. And if you don't have a secure sense of self, if you haven't been taking the last few months in transits, cultivating a secure sense and understanding of who you are and what you're here to do, this is going to be a rough time for you. It probably have already been small indications of kind of where you was leading. And now in the full moon, that's usually the time, at least from the full moon until the next new moon, in this time span, usually is when you start to see the manifestations of what you've been participating in come to the surface. So hopefully you've been doing your due diligence and staying focused on where you want to actually expand. Sagittarius is an energy of travel, both internally through your philosophies and understandings of the world and externally. So it could be actually you physically going to new places and seeing new things. But at the end of the day, we could also equate it to being about it's expansion in general. So there's a lot of things going on in that space. I was talking about in my last video. One, the Mars proximity to the sun's proximity to Mars is to me indicative of just the type of tone, the type of time we got to be on during this transit, during this season, throughout December, even into Capricorn season. We need to, the whole of December, we need to be on somewhat of a warrior mode. And it's not about, again, warrior is not about creating unnecessary fights. It's not about going to war for nonsense. It's about honestly building yourself up as far as your internal world, right? Your confidence and your strength. And I was explaining on my other channel, Dave Beyond TV, that building or cultivating strength comes from proving to yourself time and time again that you are capable by facing difficult things and getting through on the other side. Even if you go through a difficult situation and you don't approach it how you want, and to you would consider it a L or a failure. Even that, the only true failure is for you to stop doing what it is that you want to do. Um, if you really care about getting that thing done, you're gonna find another way around it. And you have to have that level of determination in your mind. You have to be to have that conviction that what you are aiming for is what you are aiming for. And anything that's taking you off of that, you gotta side eye it. And you gotta treat it like, again, with like sometimes these doubts and things like that we have in our mind, they may manifest themselves physically as people, places, and things that are kind of giving us some shit, right? Giving us some shit, whether they talking shit, whether there's people you feel the energy of judgment from another person and stuff like that. And like honestly, it's easy to take that personal, but what you got to understand is that there's a way that you can handle those things without getting wrapped up in it. Because even down when it comes to you trying to change the course of your life, right? Let's say that you got to a point in your life where you're like, yo, I want to make different choices. I'm trying to change my life. I'm trying to go down a different path, right? There's always going to be people who remember the past version of you who are going to trigger you as you're in the middle of that transition. It's similar to when you make a decision towards going down a path, like there's something you want, right? Like I want to be, I just use this example a lot, but like let's say you like, you know what, man, I've been doing this bullshit job here, there, and everywhere. I want to commit myself to being a full-time artist. I'm going to make it happen for myself. Even in that, when you decide that you're going down a direction, that decision, you know how they say everything has a consequence, right? Now, whether it's a good consequence or bad consequence, it's not really about the good or bad. It's all about perspective, whether you look at it that way or not, right? Now, there's some things that could be more leaning towards the negative side or the positive side. But again, life is a matter of knowing how to shift your perspective to create that narrative that'll help you stay aligned. If you get caught up into, a lot of times when people get caught up to whether something's good or bad, they sometimes people don't, instead of just thinking for themselves, they think in the context of what they might or might not get validated on. And so that starts to influence their decisions. And so this is how you create a life that's not really your own. You have to really be strong in the mind. And I get it. You don't want to maybe upset your parents. You don't want to make your partner upset. And this is where, if you really care about those connections and relationships, this is where they say communication is key, because you gotta let people know that you care about. Like, if you care about them, and you can care about you can care about somebody without necessarily being a slave to their opinion or their valid, and you're usually a slave to their opinion based upon you in some way, shape, or form feeling like you need their validation. You have to sever that sometimes. Well, I say sometimes, I really think all the time, because I think the healthiest relationships are ones that don't bound you to that. Because one thing you got to understand, I know I'm unlayered. It's tangents on tangents on tangents. I know I'm my fault, but this is how I got to do it. Because at the end of the day, picking the right, it's all about choice. So sometimes people choose relationships that create the conflict that create more and more conflict because you chose wrong. Not to say that the person, I mean, it's just, and honestly, when it comes down to compatibility in relationships, who you choose is who you choose. You can make anything work, but it's a question of whether or not that's right for you. And it's only you can really decide if it's right for you, because the thing is, everybody is going to come with their issues and their friction. It's always going to be friction. There's nothing that's going to be perfect. So what I'm not saying is that just because you and whoever you chose have conflict, that you chose wrong. All I'm saying is, you truly, like, one of the biggest issues I feel like today, modern times, if you want to consider, you could put it in any category damn near, whether it's dating, whether it's career, whether it's, all these different things. The majority of the time, the issues is in the choice, because the choice, the issue lies in a person not really knowing who they are. And that's even harsh for me to say, because you're constantly learning who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have a good idea, you can have a rough idea. Everyone has a rough idea of what they like and don't like, but the experience is what actually provides you the truth. And this is why, you know, this is such a beautiful, or this is like very, I love this time of the year, because I feel as though, things get set off in, honestly, like Libra season. Libra season, you have an idea of what you want to relate to. Then Scorpio, you get to the nitty gritty of it. You really get into the depths of it to see what it is, the truth of it. But see, it's like, in order to get to the truth, what Scorpio really does, because the truth is revealed in Sag, but in Scorpio, you go deep within yourself first. And this is even in the concept of as within, as without, because if you haven't met certain parts of yourself, even when Sagittarius opens the door for you to see the light, and light shines through and it's shedding light on what you've been experiencing, if you haven't gone to certain depths within yourself, you're not going to be able to recognize the things that you see. You know what I'm saying? So it's such an interesting time, the transition, the fall period from Libra to Sag. And so now we're in Sag season, right about at the half point, almost to 15 degrees, which is like technically the half point, right? We've gone through the new moon in Sag, so the new moon set us on a path to expand. Now, with that expansion came a lot of different factors, things that probably scared the shit out of you. And depending on how you responded to that, here we are now, right? I was explaining how the moon transit leading up to the full moon. At this point, you need to be satisfied on some degree with, first of all, who you are. Second of all, who you're becoming. And that choice to become, again, embodiment, you're going to have to fight for that. And not physically fight, like I was saying earlier, not physically fight, but you have to be internally strong to fight. A lot of the battle is going to come from your own inner dialogue. And that's kind of where the full moon is going to present challenges, but also provide answers and even more clarity if you've been planting the right seeds. But before we get into that, what up, what up? What up? It's your boy Dave B. You are watching Beyond Astrology. You know what I'm saying? Your neighborhood spiritual psychologist breaking down all these energies and influences, using astrology as a tool to provide y'all with a blueprint on how to move and maneuver through turbulent times, and also how to cultivate better times for you to experience. So, just so y'all know, I am open to doing readings. So if you want to read, I do all kinds of readings. Honestly, just email me at davebeyond95 at gmail.com, and in the subject line say astrology help, and in the message just let me know the type of reading that you want, and I'll put together a personalized package for you, you know what I'm saying, so that you can get exactly what you want. Because I used to do readings in a way where it's just like, hey, just do a general reading, but sometimes I like to answer specific questions. I like to have context going in, because it's a lot. But if I could hyper focus, or if you just want a general reading, I can still do that. But I also specialize in hyper focusing on specific things that you want to know about within the chart. But anyway, enough of that. Thank you all for who's clicking on the videos, who's watching, who's leaving comments. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Please trust and believe that. But anyway, let's continue on. So, couple core themes of this full moon you got to be aware of. Distractions in the form of bad advice. A lot of people, especially people who are close to you, because Gemini is like the third house. So this is like where you get the people, places, and things that are familiar, that you are familiar with, but that are also individuals that feel familiar with you, whether you agree with that or not. One, you got to remember sometimes that even if you don't feel familiar or comfortable around certain people, some people feel familiar and close to you, which is why you'll start to get some people who just be in your surroundings, but you might not be fixated on them and focused on what they're doing, but they are very much fixated on you because they see you as something that they're familiar with. So this could get manipulated depending on what you got. Like if when you look at your chart, if you look at the third house, whatever energy you got there, you have to be mindful of that, because that's how people might latch on to you that you might not even recognize. Like I think of, y'all know that animal, I forget the name of it, but it's the animal that it's like a fish that latches itself onto a, I don't know if it's a stingray or a whale, but it's like under their fin, it'll attach to it, and it's a symbiotic relationship. I think that's the right word, where they both in some way, like the animal that latches on benefits, and then the whale itself, I don't know if the whale benefits or not, but the point I'm trying to make is sometimes people attach themselves to you through the third house, and you don't even recognize that they are either draining you, or if you're aware enough, you can create, like, if you really understand this, you can use that to your benefit, to the point where it's a mutual give and take and things like that, right? Depending on what you got in that area. That's just something that came to me, because it's like, if you really think about it, the third house being Gemini energy, aside from physically, because it could be physical people, but I also like to remind people that the third house is also your thoughts and feelings that you frequent, right? Your mentality. That's what the third house kind of is. It's also your appendages, but in an internal sense, it's your mentality. So sometimes you could be going around through life with certain assumptions about your reality based upon what you're familiar with thinking. So every day you wake up, there's a familiar group of thoughts you go through. You need to familiar you really need, like, a lot of people, this lies in their subconscious. They don't even realize they do this, but you need to familiarize yourself with those consistent, frequent thoughts and feelings, because a lot of times you might have negative thoughts and feelings that go against everything that you're trying to build up consciously. So you could say, man, I'm trying to be this all I'm trying to make a full-time living with my art, or with my with what I love to do. But your frequent thoughts when you wake up are everything that you don't do well, like all thoughts and feelings about how you struggle with this and struggle with that. So it's like, even though you have that conscious goal, subconsciously you have thoughts that create self-doubt, that make you procrastinate on what you want to do, that make you overthink. Think about that. Overthinking in the third house. The reason people overthink is because they don't trust. And this is where you start to open the door up into Mercury's connection with both Virgo and Gemini, right? A lot of times Virgos get the bad rep for overthinking, and they do. But so and they also get the negative kind of, they get painted as the critical thinkers as well. But Gemini is just as diabolical sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Sorry, Gemini, like it's just the truth. Y'all know it though. Y'all know it. Sometimes like all that air energy, a lot of times air element carry that, just naturally carry the devil's advocate. But Gemini could be very slick because Gemini is like, you ever had a friend that makes a lot of jokes, but you realize like low key in the jokes is it'd be hella shade. And this is not to say that Geminis are shady, but this is how your mind can play tricks on you because you'll be thinking you still focused on that goal, but not you're not mindful enough to recognize that low key there's a lot of deprecating ideas, thoughts, and feelings that might be on the in the surroundings of whatever, wherever you at, the space you at, that are contradicting who you say you are, who you're telling yourself to be, who you are attempting to embody. So this is where you get a bit of the two-faced energy, but you get it internally, where you are two-faced to yourself. So again, as you do within is as you do without. So this can create a two-faced person in the external world. Sometimes it manifests like that, but sometimes it might not. You might be the best friend to everybody in your life, but when you go home, the second you start to tell yourself you want to do something or you're trying to hype yourself up, you become two-faced to yourself. So it's almost like in the mirror, you telling yourself, yes, I'm great. You do all your affirmations that you think you're supposed to be doing, and I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. And then you as soon as you leave that mirror, here come those thoughts in the back of your mind being whispering, bitch, you ain't shit. Nigga, stop playing, stop fronting. Two-face. You know what I'm saying? So check that. Right now, the full moon could illuminate that for you because you got to understand, and this kind of gets me into the other point, right? So another reason I love this transition of the fall into the winter is because this is where we start to get into the new year energy. So one thing you got to understand about the new year, right? So calendar wise, they're gonna tell you that the new year is on the first, um, and they set people up for failure that way. They got people trying to make a new beginning on the moment of death, on like the transit of death and transformation, which is the, Capricorn energy. Capricorn really is more so about the strategizing than it is about the definitive answer to or the solution to what you're trying to change in your life. Capricorn is just the beginning. So a lot of and there's a lot of other, I don't want to get too complicated, so I'm just going to stay on the track I'm on. So you have to understand that, first of all, slow down, slow down. December is tricky because of that. There's a lot of distractions as well. So not only is distractions in the form of bad advice, that's more so just contingent on the full moon, right? With Gemini, because Gemini is a lot of conversations and again, people talking to you, but you got to be again, the low octave experience of the full moon because you didn't plant the right seeds is highly susceptible to scatteredness. This idea is taking you that way. That idea is taking you this way. This conversation is taking you this way. Also being wrapped up into gossip, being wrapped up into caring, so like to, even if you don't care emotionally, talking about other people, talking about anything that has to do with anything other than the ideas that you're trying to manifest. That's all bullshit. So please understand, like if the second somebody come around you trying to talk to you about something that ain't got nothing to do with what you trying to focus on, I understand sometimes you want to people please. Some people are recovering people pleasers. So you don't want to let, oh, I gotta laugh and joke. Some people don't want to ruffle feathers. Some people feel bad. Some people all that. But just keep in mind, like whatever you choose to do, you find to do. But please understand, put them people on a time limit. Hey, I ain't got time to be. Look, hey, sorry. Today I got something on my mind. At least for the next couple days. Sorry, I got something on my mind. I'll catch up with y'all later because anything they talking about right now is just liable to get your mind on something that you don't need to be focused on, especially if you serious, which you should be prepared. Like this Sagittarius season is different. A lot of other times, Sagittarius season is the one to be a little festive and joking, kind of lounge around. But no, there's things that we're building. This time around, it's a little different. This Sagittarius season is more militant. That Mars proximity, it's a different energy. Also, the sun being so close to Lilith. If you get too laxed, the enemy will come and get you. You know what I'm saying? And when I say the enemy, I mean your own thoughts, your own doubts, your own sense of fear and embarrassment, and whatever things that you are still latching on to that are indicative of the year that we're moving and transitioning out of. And the reason all of this is important because you have to understand, like, and this is why this is getting back to my point. So the next, as far as the Chinese zodiac sign, Chinese zodiac energy, right, is it's the year of the fire horse. I think it's wood fire horse or something like that, right? And you might be like, why are you equating it to that? Like, well, because I don't know. I like the all of these things give you glimpses on or a bigger picture, a broader picture of kind of like how energy is flowing, right? But that's neither here nor there. The point though is transitioning from this 9 year, right? So numerology, there's the numerology we have to acknowledge. There's the zodiac, the regular, standardized, I guess is the right, I don't know what the right word is, but zodiac wheel, right? Which is that the actual new year starts in March. And then there's the numerology. Then there's the Chinese zodiac year, like the year energy. Hopefully y'all still with me and it's not too confusing. But basically, first thing we experience is the numerology change, right? Before the actual new moon kicks in, before the actual new year kicks in, we experience the numerology shift. So that's going from a 9 year into a 1 year. All right, 2026, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know what I'm saying? That's 2026. So 2, 2, 6, 6 and 4, 10, boom, 1. So the numerology changes first. So right now in December, we in the Sag portion. Sag got the kind of goofing off energy. And see, the thing about it is you still want to incorporate the you still don't want to take it too serious. You have to be willing to laugh at life. You have to be willing to, be willing to explore. Like Sag has a certain attitude about its experiences. Like, some people equate it to being optimistic. You could look at it as optimism, or you could just look at it as a certain approach to life that is more about the experience. So there's more of an appreciation, a gratitude for life itself rather than a cynical, looking at everything with scrutiny. You know what I'm saying? You could look at your experiences, even if they're not the ones you want to have, like even if they're harsh or difficult, that's even more of a time to, appreciate the joy. Find joy in the difficulties. Find, whether it's, sometimes, you have some of those days where it seemed like everything kind of going wrong. Find something to laugh about. Find something to create, cultivate joy in that moment. Find something to appreciate or be grateful for in those moments that you're going through that might not be the most pleasant. You have to kind of create your own pleasure. And that's almost to me, even looking at Venus going into Sag, is like that's a little helpful for that. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and pull up the chart because I'm talking about it. Boom. So you can see like Venus now that Venus is in Sag and see Venus is right on top of Lilith. So, you might be kind of having a mini panic attack, you know what I'm saying, in the next couple of days or just in general when it comes to the things that you want. Don't panic about the things that you want that you don't see yourself having at the moment. You have to just shift your perspective to understand that, okay, you know how they tell you you have to, again, you have to be it to see it, you have to embody it. So it's a form of a little bit of, you have to remind yourself during this time period that if you want it, you have to move as if you already have it. But you also have to be focused on what it is that you are manifesting, right? Now, the full moon is the time in which, like, it's a lot of energy in the sky. So try not to get too try not to get too obsessive or think too allow your thoughts to go too wild on the things that you may not see coming to you yet. um Again, you have to it's like you really have to get out of your mind in order to access these things. I'm trying to find the best way to explain it, right? um Before I get to that though, let me finish what I was saying about the year, right? So first, we experienced the numerology shift, which is going from a 9 year to a 1 year, right? 2025 to 2026, right? That's going to be on the first. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I want to preface, I'm trying to give y'all context on where we're going and why this time period feels the way it does now and why it's important to pay attention. So when the numerology shifts, okay, now we're going from the nine, which represents endings, completion, us kind of like in a sense, elevating to something else, moving on from something, going into one to make it so it's almost like that vibe. You might feel it already, but it's like kind of like next year is personal. Meaning next year, the type of time you got to be on next year needs to be on you. Like it needs to, you need to know who you are moving into 2026. You need to know that. And because the war is coming or the battle is coming to a field near you, and that's why this sad season has the tone, or why I recommend y'all considering that tone or approaching Sagittarius with a certain level of seriousness, because certain transits like that we've had a teaser for, Neptune in Aries, Saturn is now direct moving towards Aries, moving back towards Aries. There's things we need to be prepared for, and December is going to have the energy of things moving faster than you might be that you might expect. So you need to be on your shit. Lilith and like when so Lilith is the representation of like fear, right? Or it shows up a lot of times in the things that we're embarrassed about or that we fear, that lie dormant possibly in the subconscious mind until something is triggered, but also still influences in ways that we might not even be aware of on the surface. A lot of times people are not even aware of their fears. They just know that they just make decisions that at some point look like they contradict what they want. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. But here's the thing, that Lilith energy could make you real, uh, it can make you procrastinate on the things that if you were to just get it done, you'll be better suited to be mobile and move when the time comes to make a move. A lot of people don't realize that it's like kind of like if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. You know what I'm saying? You want to be ready and ready. And sometimes the reason why you're not manifesting the thing that you want is because you're not preparing yourself. You're not readying yourself as if that thing is inevitable to come towards you. So you're not even embodying a certain energy that would make you attractive to the very thing that you claim to want to experience. The universe works like that. It's way more, you got to understand the femininity of life. Sometimes people only see and I know like even down to people being like, oh, it's a patriarch society and things like that. You have to understand that that's on the surface, but like the society and all of those things, the way the world works, is more masculine dominant, but the way the universe works is feminine dominant, meaning you need to be in touch with how you are how you are organizing your energy internally and making sure that, and see that internal comes down to not only your feelings but your thoughts as well. And you need to be able to use these things in tandem it's like both of these things can benefit from each other. Your thoughts can almost like play out like a shepherd to your feelings. Your feelings will follow your thought. It's the same even down to, and you can relate that to an external principle of uh feminine energy needing the direction from the masculine or structure in some kind of magnitude, right? But the feminine aspect being very important on the quality of whatever is being organized. So the masculine energy can create the structure, but or the masculine energy could quote unquote build the house, but the way the house feels, the decor, the comfort level, the food that's prepared inside the house, the experience of the house itself or the people in the house come down to the feminine aspect. So, just to give you an idea of, even if you could take that house building metaphor and even think about it as into life. If you're trying to build a life for yourself, right, you need to have an idea to provide the structure, but you need to be focused enough on that structure to get the job done. And then you can fulfill it with the right feelings to make that house a home, to make that life comfortable, right? That lifestyle. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to bring it back. So when we're looking at this energy, like I said before, you're not readying and preparing yourself for what it is that you're about to embark on. If you claim to be on a mission or you claim to be living in your purpose, the whole point is we don't just use these energies as if they are magically going to make things better for us. Because you can go your whole life being depressed, knowing what the astrology is saying, but because you're not actively doing anything with it, it's not going to benefit you. It's the same thing as with anything, right? So, getting back to my point, when you're looking at this energy, right? Like I said before, that Lilith energy sometimes can trick you. And then see Lilith, Lilith, Venus, and the Sun are all opposite. You can see it's opposite the Moon right now. So on the low octave end, this could create a lot of doubt, second guessing energy around what it is you want and whether or not you deserve it or not, right? You can start to feel insecure about what it is you want or what you desire or what you like, what you relate to as well. You can start to feel like, man, I don't know if I really can get that, right? Sometimes I look at Venus almost like a mirror sometimes. So, like a lot of people's self-esteem might be affected based upon their own thoughts or the people around them. And see, that's why I was going with when I was talking about earlier, where sometimes people in your surroundings don't like you could take it personal if they talking, if they give you a certain energy, like they not really uh believing in you or they kind of shady towards certain things. You could take it personal, but sometimes it's just because of the energy you got on you. You kind of talk to yourself like that. You allow them to talk to you a certain way. You never put up that boundary because you didn't carry yourself like a person who don't get talked to that way, right? Now, I'm not saying to make it a fight. Sometimes it's a matter of you deciding that, yeah, I'm about to lessen my time up around these individuals so I can go create more so I could go be present in more of the places that I'm appreciated, be present in the places that people actually want to support me, right? But to do that, you have to have the courage and the faith that you can step out on that and leave all that bullshit behind. So a healthy, if you're in the high octave of this full moon energy, though that might be the decisions that you start to make because you're gonna have to step out on your own on at some point and start to find the people that you belong with. That's kind of what this full moon is presenting you with, because the difference between the ninth and the third house or Sagittarius and Gemini, Gemini is just in the surroundings, but it's Sagittarius that steps out on the ledge and decides to go, decides to expand. But that expansion is scary. That expansion comes with a lot of different uncertainties, right? But this is the energy that we need to be in because going back to what I was saying about the transition from this year to the next, you got uh first the numerology shifts. So we go from the energy of completion to number nine. We should have a certain level of knowledge and awareness, information to now be like in wisdom to be like, okay, my next move needs to be my own. This is where we get into the one energy where you need to make a decision. And you need to make that one line, like not squiggly, not curvy, not thinking about this and that and considering this person feeling and that person feeling and how these people are gonna respond to me and oh man, I might not ever be able to do this thing again. Yes, like I was saying a little bit earlier, when you make a decision, it closes doors. And you have to be okay to grieve those closed doors. But the grieving should be, you know, quick. Like, okay, yeah, 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 okay, the other options are no longer available, but that shouldn't matter to you because you should have picked the door that you want to go down. So if you pick the door that you want to go down, what's the problem? It remind me of that verse, International Players Club, Andre 3000 verse. You know what I'm saying? The whole the whole intro, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I apologize if this message gets you down because I CC'd every girl that I CC around town and hate to see y'all frown, but I love to see her smiling. Wetness all around me, true, but I'm no island, peninsula maybe. And see the whole like y'all know the verse. Hopefully y'all know the verse. If y'all don't, what y'all doing with life? But anyway, it's like the whole Andre's verse is about deciding to get married. So telling all the other girls that he was with, hey, like it's done. Those are closed doors now. And so if we think about purpose, purpose is about proposing to what it is that the life that you're gonna go down. Like you have to treat that like you really getting married. And I know a lot of folks don't even know what that is. Commitment, devotion, and things like that, because you probably didn't see it physically. You might not have seen it in your parents. You might not have seen it in the people around you. Some people have, some people haven't physically, right? And that doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there, but I'm just giving y'all a frame of reference of why you might actually not understand the concept of commitment. And see, that's an interesting topic during Sagittarius season because Sagittarius, one of its kind of like shadows is lack of commitment, feeling like commitment is a cage, running away from responsibilities and things like that. But on the positive end, ironically, and this is what I love about understanding the psychology but behind each sign is that every time, and this is true to life because this is true within you. Your shadows show you, oh, your shadows present you with your life's challenge, which you can equate to be like, oh, okay, that's my karma or whatever. Just like how your curses on the other end of your curse is your gift. A lot of times these things are one and the same. It's just on different sides or from different angles and perspectives. Depending on your perspective and your attitude, you either going to participate in what is already you, whether in a shadow way to create more havoc and chaos in your life and disalignment, disalign. That's not, I don't think that's a word, but it's a word today. Disalignment, or it's going to be you're gonna create alignment because you change your perspective or you had a perspective on it and an attitude about what was maybe considered a curse on one end, you turned it into a gift. You have to like so Sagittarius season plays out, it might play out some form of that. Or I'm just finishing up my point of being the shadow of Sagittarius may be lack of commitment, but the gift from that curse is also the ability to truly devote, to wholly devote yourself to a goal, to put your everything into the expansion of something, to dive so deeply into a topic or a subject, to learn as much as you can, to digest the information and actually ingrain yourself, connect yourself to the wisdom, right? To believe so fully in what it is that you're trying to do, where you're trying to go, that it's inevitable for you to reach that point. You get what I'm saying? And that point becomes that mountaintop, that zenith, that Capricorn represents status to be known for it because I had so much. So y'all can see where this goes, right? That's where you want to be at the end of this. So going back to what I was saying about the year's transition. So The first is the numerology, that one. We're going into one next, right? So that's January. In February, I think it's the first full moon in February or something like that, is where we get the Chinese zodiac changing. So we're coming out of the year of a snake, right? So you still gonna feel that snake like energy. The best way you should have been using this, so snake has a lot of things tied to it, right? One of the biggest things is like, what does a snake do? It sheds. So the shedding of what is no longer you. So think of like a pile of that dead skin. You have to leave that behind. This is a sad season where you really, again, this is one of those seasons where it separates the spiritual children from the spiritual adults, the children's spirits who's still not ready. And if you're not ready, that's fine. Because if you listening to this, it's not a matter of being disappointed about yourself that you're not at that point yet. It's understanding why you might be dealing with the things you're dealing with and just giving you context on how you might need to adjust, or just giving you a reflect, because these are things that, again, I'm not saying nothing you probably didn't already come up to as a conclusion, but I'm just saying it in a way that you might be able to comprehend it differently or see it in a different angle to help you along your way. But it's the same thing, and there very much is levels to this shit. But again, don't look at it like you're not good enough. No, this is all instilled within you. It's a matter of just shifting and going along your own path. Like, everybody got their own path and things that they need to go through and accomplish. And you will get where you going. And where you going is where you going. It ain't nobody else's business. You know. Now, be mindful too. There's people around you that might see your light and don't know how to take it. And they're trying to figure out how to take it. So don't let nobody come up around you talking too slick. This is also, man, y'all crazy. Mercury right here in Scorpio. I wouldn't say shit to nobody right now, just because it's in conjunct the moon, the full moon in Gemini, right? And they saying it's a super moon, right? I feel like there's a lot of things you might understand or might not understand. But the point is, moon in conjunct Mercury, there's a lot of things you might say that could come back to bite you, talking about people a certain way. And this is important too, because you have to have a certain level of humility. Don't be walking around, if you know you the shit, and I know you on this channel, so you feel how I feel. You know you the shit. Don't be talking too crazy and bringing too much attention to yourself. Because again, people, you be surprised. People be real attentive when you think you just saying stuff. Sometimes you be in your bag and you just be talking like, yeah, man, I made such and such, or I'm doing this now, and I done succeeded in this area. I done did this. I'm dreaming about this. I'm doing all of this shit. And you think you in your bag. You think you're around comfortable people. Again, there's people right now going through extreme desperation. The fall and winter time, these are desperation seasons. It's not sunny and bright outside. People ain't just having fun in the sun. Some you can go through struggles in the summer and spring, but a lot of times it's a different vibe. In the winter when it's cold, people act cold, especially around now. You got to think in the context of what's going on in the world. A lot of people are strapped. A lot of people have no hope. A lot of people are struggling, and you would never know it because everybody going through their own shit. So you would never know it because people love to cover up what they don't like about themselves, even though but if you're not paying attention, it pours out regardless. But if you're not paying attention, you're not going to see the signs. And also, just it's a good rule of thumb to just keep what's precious to you sacred. Mercury in Scorpio. Scorpio is about sacred. Behind closed doors, the eighth house is about sacred, keeping things sacred, private exchange, private equity. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you really doing business, it's a private thing. We do this deal between me and you, and when we present to the public, what we present to the public is marketing to get what the deal, you know what I'm saying? It's to push the product. It's not to reveal the business deals. We not if you a business and you need it for artists. I hope my artist is listening. If you got to look at yourself as a business. So your tweets and stuff like that, your or not tweets, but your posts, your content, all of these things. You should be mindful of what you sharing. A lot of people get into being an artist, but they haven't quite, they not taking it serious for real. So you being personal on your platforms, which is fine. It's your platform, but understand this is what separates the artists who've turned their career, the artists with a career versus artists with a hobby. You know what I'm saying? Your platform might feel more like, you do this as a hobby than it do, oh, you for real, for real. You turn this into a business. I get the vibe. You know what I'm saying? And the landscape of social media is changing. And like that's a different conversation. Again, we can get into that more so on my other channel, the Day Beyond TV channel. I want to keep this to astrology. But yeah, anyway. I got some videos though for this channel. It's gonna be dope. Regarding stuff like that a little bit. But so the year of the snake, the shedding, getting completely rid of these things that are no longer representations of you. And you need to be adamant on that. You got to really leave that behind. Now, it's not about doing it. And see, now the fire horse, though, horses have a certain sense of pride, majestic. They run wild, right? They need to be, broken and tamed. Not broken. I don't know if that's the right, but yeah, it's like you gotta, I don't know what they call them or call that process, but horses have a wild sense to them, right? So you need to make sure that you are honing that in or reining that in, right? Rein it in because it's too early in the race. And this gets into what the fire horse year is going to vibe like. Now, a lot of people are going to jump the gun way too soon. Now, you ever watched the race? Like me, I used to run track, but I also but if you know what in a race they tell you you gotta what pace yourself. If you come out the gate, if the race is a marathon and you come out the gate trying to sprint full speed, you got 5K miles, and you trying to sprint out the front at the gate, what's gonna happen? You're gonna be the last one. I guarantee you're gonna be in last place. In a horse race, a lot of times whoever winning in the front is in the beginning is I don't know. I haven't seen that many, but in my mind, whatever's in the front ain't always gonna be who ends the race in the front. So you have to be mindful of how you're approaching these different things, right? You have to be mindful of, okay, so if this is about to be the year of the horse, you need, well, again, how you run your race is how you run your race. But I would suggest reining it in and pacing yourself is more important to be on point than it is to be first. You know how they say slow and steady actually wins the race. It's like sometimes like everybody want to be first in a race, but if you on point, meaning you get your steps right and you got the right form, what you have behind supporting you in that race is endurance. The reason people practice form is so that they can help their endurance. Because the better your form, the less energy you're wasting. The tighter your form is, the more that focus is creating momentum to help propel you along the way. So use that metaphor and apply it to your life. How you moving and operating, you need to more so, and again, mind you, I'm talking about like the Chinese zodiac don't transition till February. We in December. So what I'm telling y'all is just kind of like like giving y'all a progression, an idea of the preparation, right? Sagittarius season is way more about the preparation. But there's a concept like when I used to play basketball as well, they tell you you could be in practice doing all these crazy shots, right? Coach would tell you though, like you need to practice how you gonna play. If you practicing all kinds of bullshit, like yeah, that might be fancy and stuff like that, but that's where you lose the game. because in the game, it's really about that the fundamental. Can you make a layup? You trying to hit a behind the back three from the fucking bleachers. In a game situation, there's no reason to be doing all that. You need to practice what you actually finna do in the game. Otherwise, you've wasted practice. So that's what kind of season feels. That's what December feels like, right? And we halfway through. We in the second deacon. So you have to have a certain sense of conviction about yourself because the second deacon is influenced by Aries, right? And then the third deacon is going to be influenced by Leo. So that's going to be the time to show something for it, to show out for it. And that's going to be near again going into January, or it's going to be late December and things like that. But the point being, um, going into Capricorn season, I should say, right? But the point being, right now is more so it's playing out more like the practice, right? So this transition to me is more so like even this full moon is about like in a sense feeling more like yourself, starting to take your own advice, right? In the beginning, I was saying distractions in the form of bad advice. The thing about it is you might want that advice. You might be desperately trying to find somebody to tell you what you need to be doing right now, what you need to be focused on. I'm gonna tell you like this, and it's hard sometimes because as astrologer or anybody else, even down to a degree, certain content creators and things like that, it's sometimes it's dangerous because y'all really need to find this out for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Y'all really need to sit with yourself long enough to figure out what it is that you want to do in the first place so that you can design a unique way, a way that works for you on how you need to move and navigate during this time, right? And hopefully, as I break down energy, it helps y'all be able to look at these charts on yourself. So you won't need to get no reading. You won't need to do none of that from anybody. Not me, not nobody. You'll be able to you might not even need to look at a chart. You just wake up and be like, oh, I kind of feel this vibe. Okay. Because honestly, this whole thing is astrology, anything that yeah, astrology especially, it's a practice of trusting yourself. Like I might be looking at a chart right now, but in all honesty, it's just me trusting myself, trusting what I'm picking up on, and being clear enough within myself to know what's me and what's not me. So, oh yeah, this is me. So I must be getting influenced by this right now because I feel this way. It's a language, you know what I'm saying? And anything could be like again, I'm using astrology as a translator almost. That's why I say I keep on saying, even down to the book I made, it's like astrology is a tool like the alphabet is a tool. You know what I'm saying? The alphabet is not, there's no special intelligence. We don't look at the alphabet like, oh, this is so intelligent. Oh my gosh, we need to honor the alphabet. The alphabet holds so much wisdom. It's like, no, it's just letters like that help you say things that can be considered wise. Same thing with astrology. It's just, oh my God, these influences are, no, don't pray to astrology. Just understand it as a language. Oh, I can use it to say certain things that inspire, that help provide insight and things like that. Anyway, but yeah. So all in all, understand that right now you are expanding into yourself. That's how you need to be approaching this. But the tone is all about preparation because, like I said, so this fire horse when that transitions, right? That's the second step, the transition of the fire horse. So again, a lot of people gonna be coming out the gate, and it might shake you up a little bit. But you have to think in terms of endurance, longevity, marathon. Run your race. Don't be looking at what everybody else in their lanes is doing. Run your race. Because when we hit the actual new year, this transition from Pisces into Aries, I don't know by that time. Well, I can kind of check. Hold on, let me see. Let's go ahead and see. Let's say 30 days. We're good. The sun, yeah, okay. Let's do another 30 days. February 2nd, okay. Okay. What's that? Pisces? Okay, let's do 7 days. Boom. Oh, that should have been it. But yeah, 4 degrees Aries, and I'm right. Look at that. Because that's what I was thinking. I was like, Saturn gonna be right there. And sure enough. So we gonna come into the new year with Saturn in Aries, Neptune in Aries as well. So you know what that means. That's wartime. The willpower to fight for what it is you believe in. This is again, like I said, it's showing you right there. That's why this energy is so important. And see, I get a little deep because I like to look at, so we're in Sagittarius season now, dealing with this stellium, right? Dealing with all this energy. And then we're gonna go through it's like all of this concentrated energy, but mainly the sun. But when we come into Aries season, that's a trine. So gifts for the spring are cultivated here. Opportunities for the spring are built here. No, no, we have to learn. We have to go through hardship and learn a little bit here. But opportunities are built right here in Aquarius season. And that's when, again, that transition into, so the new year, so the numerology will shift here. So learning what our individual idea of where we're trying to go, learning about our individual race and what that is, right? And running in focusing on that, just one singular idea of our race, right? And I'm talking about a like a running race, not your skin color or your nationality or whatever it is. Right here though, the transition from the whatchamacallit, the snake to the horse. So all of that, and then again, it's a fire horse. So think about all that skin that you shed, it being burned away, completely burned away. Transformation right here too. So the transition gonna have a lot of Pluto involved, right? And then we end up passing moving into the actual new year where not only we gonna be we need to be fully in our bag as far as the fire horse goes. We need to be sturdy on the back of the horse, riding, and then boom, wartime. We're gonna have to fight for what we believe in, right? But anyway, I'm letting y'all know how I be looking at some of this shit, right? You don't want to go too far ahead and you don't want to get wrapped up in divination trying to over predict certain things. But at the same time, like, you know, depending on what you practice, I mean, everybody practice something different. It's you know, the way I look at it though is just that you want to leave room for life to show you what's happening. But I just look at what like I can find a lot of reasoning in what the current time means based upon where you're going. Like you know what I'm saying? Like to know where you're going, you got to know. They say you got to know where you came from, but you really need to know where you at. And then when you have an idea where you're going, you could reverse engineer that. So when you think of where you want to be in the new year really here, but it starts in the present of wherever you at, right? So right now, what we have available to us is again this proximity with Mars and the willpower, determination, and conviction to fight through what might be presenting them itself as a fear, which is like false. You know what I'm saying? That shit ain't real. That shit ain't really there. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is that you scared about, that shit ain't really there. You just need to stay focused and have that willpower and that conviction in what it is that you're trying to do, right? Now, this full moon is it trying Pluto a bit. So you know the transformation that needs to happen, right? And it's square is well, the full moon itself is not the full moon is square in the north node. So there's a lot of again be mindful of distractions in the form of bad advice. You need to go out and learn and experience and have your own sense of advice for yourself. Listen to your own advice for once, but only if you really connected with yourself. If you're not really connected with yourself, you're going to be all kinds of distracted. But hopefully you watch the videos like mine and other astrologers who got their head on right to provide you the mapping system on how to get out of that mentality to help you get to a better place, right? But yeah, what I'm saying? So stay focused. Um, don't let the discouraging energy get to you. And yeah, like I said, go ahead, drop the house. You got Gemini in. Gemini. And I think over the weekend, I'll probably have some time to do to go through the signs and break down y'all houses. So let me know what houses y'all have, and then I might just do one-off videos for all the people who leave a comment. So let me know. All right. Much love, and I will catch y'all on the next one. I appreciate y'all being here. All right. Peace.